Many Americans can't get to hear this because it's being censored. It's being censored by big tech, big media, big Democrats. You don't get it on NBC, ABC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN, you know the whole group. I am going to explain to you the most critical crimes that emerge from the hard drive of Hunter Biden's and from the witnesses, all of whom, or most of whom, you can see on my podcast, some going back, oh my goodness, 8 months ago, and some as recently as the other day. But let me summarize it for you, because it is a little bit hard to follow. But I think if we look at it as a RICO case, Racketeer Influence Corrupt Organization case, which is a case about the business of crime, you'll get it. And we'll just have to deal with about 5 of these incidents. The first one, that is the one that probably know the most about, is Ukraine. What happened in the Ukraine that was a crime? Very simple. Joe Biden was bribed by Mykola Zlochevsky, the head of a company called Burisma. And Burisma is an oil and gas company. The owner was one of the biggest crooks in Ukraine. He soon found out that the new president was as big a crook, if not worse, than the old president, and that he could be reached. And he also soon found out that the most powerful man in Ukraine was Joe Biden when he was appointed point man by Obama, because he controlled all the money that was going to go to Ukraine. And Ukraine had $800,000 in the bank when their prior leader left with people like Zlochevsky. So Zlochevsky, knowing what the press keeps from you, that Joe Biden had a history as a sleazy Delaware politician and had been taking illegal money with his brother for 20 years, he set up contact with Joe and he offered him a deal. The deal was roughly something that would amount to about $14 to $15 million. Most of it would be paid through a no-show job for his son, Hunter Biden. Now, he never would have hired Hunter Biden for any other reason, because Hunter Biden was totally unqualified. He had already bankrupted a company, and he had just been thrown out of the United States Navy for failing a cocaine test. So he was virtually unemployable except to a Ukrainian gangster. And his father, despite the fact that his son suffered from addiction, had him work for the most crooked man in Ukraine. The Biden family got about $14 million in bribes, and then Biden did his job. When the prosecutor, Shokin, was about to move on the company, he had already arrested them, he was about to seize their assets, he came in, and as he explains, in his own words, in a confession that is as tight as you can get, he explains, I told Poroshenko, you got to get rid of the prosecutor or you don't get your $1 billion loan guarantee, which was critical to the survival of that country.
I remember going over convincing our team, or others too, convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired.
Second one, Iraq. Joe was appointed point man in Iraq. Every time he gets appointed point man, 2 things happen. Joe fails for the United States, and Joe's family gets millions. Pretty good circumstantial evidence that they're a bunch of thieves. So Joe becomes point man for Iraq, And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, comes James Biden, the crooked lobbyist for 20 years, the guy who was making thousands with Joe, not millions, thousands with Joe, doing crooked lobbying. And he becomes a partner in a $1.5 billion housing program in Iraq, and he doesn't know diddly squat about housing. Kind of like Hunter didn't know anything about oil and gas. Now we go to Russia. Russia. Collusion with Russia. Remember that? Collusion with Russia for Donald Trump turns out to be zero. Not true. My goodness, the Democrats colluded with Russia. How? The wife of the mayor of Moscow, or I should say the widow of the mayor of Moscow, makes a $3.5 million payment to the same Hunter Biden who can't do anything. Why'd she pay it to him? She is one of the richest women in Russia. She's one of the most dangerous women in Russia. She helped to have her husband deposed to please Putin. She's this tight with Putin. Everybody's complaining that Trump is too friendly with Putin. He's not. He's been tougher on Russia than any American president. And these phony hypocrites are doing this, and they're making money with Putin. They're not just friends with him, they're making money with him. And our phony press doesn't cover it. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to save this country. You've got to save this country from this kind of communist, Nazi, fascist censorship. This is not published. 3.5 million. We have the documents into Hunter Biden's stupid company. And we don't know why. And Joe was asked about this at the debate, and he did what he always does. He lied. And the press did what they always do. They didn't bother to cover it, even though our country is being sold out to Russia. Now, when you go deeper into the hard drive, what you find is there are two other payments from her. Gets close to $4 million altogether from this shadowy, very dangerous woman. We got two deals in China. One occurs when he's vice president. Shocking that we don't know about this. Intolerable, and it requires an investigation of Obama and the Obama administration. Obama makes him point man for China. Remember? Point man? America gets screwed. He fails. And the Biden family gets millions. And you never find out about it because Obama and the suck-up press keep it from you. Because in the words of Joe Biden, you don't deserve to know. You're just a bunch of stupid citizens. You're not an elitist like Obama or like Hillary Clinton or like Joe Biden. In China, Joe Biden takes Air Force Two, and on your money, on your dime, he flies his son to Beijing. He's going there to save America, to get the Chinese out of the islands that they dispute with Japan, and to get them to lower their tariffs. Hunter's going there. This is in between drug rehabs. He's going there. We don't know why, and I'm never told. Except the documents tell the story, and the hard drive tells the story now. Joe goes there. He fails. Of course he fails. Always fails. Or did he fail on purpose this time? He fails to get them out of the islands. They put more military in the islands. He fails to get tariffs reduced. They increase tariffs. 8 days later, though, the family succeeds in the only thing they're really interested in, money. A $1 billion commitment to a private equity fund that the SEC should have put out of business the day it started. A private equity fund that was a joke. It was idiotic. It stunk. Here were the partners. Hunter Biden, son of the vice president. Chris Hines, stepson of the Secretary of State. China got 2 for 1. $1 billion's still a lot, though. But they also got, you will not believe this, they also got the nephew of Whitey Bulger, one of the biggest organized criminals in the U.S. So China puts in $1 billion. A couple months later, China puts in another $500 million. Joe loses all negotiations with China. There's an article written that China much prefers to deal with Joe Biden and John Kerry than Hillary Clinton because they're much easier on. But the New York Times doesn't write that their sons are in a private equity fund that got $1.5 billion commitment from China. Do you think you should have known that? You think it's a crime to cover that up? You think Obama knew? I don't know. You think it's worthy of investigation?